And hello, people of WyoNation. Welcome to another edition of the WyoNation Roundup. I am your host, Chad Smith, joined as always by Mr. Shea Foster. Good evening, Shea.
Evening, Chad. How are you?
I'm doing great, and we are very happy to have tonight from the Casper Tribune, Anthony Dion, beat writer extraordinaire. We're going to talk some Wyoming football and more. Good evening, Anthony. Nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Great. So I know Shea is going to start us off tonight. Oh, I don't hear you, Shea.
Sorry, I did it again 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, rough start to the season here, Anthony. I know. I wish it was a better welcome for you to the Cowboy Nation. We're not used to 0-4 starts, but you know, you hear a lot of interviews, and I always appreciate you posting the videos real time on your Twitter feed when it comes to the media markets, during the media availabilities. It seems like the players are saying the right things, like, hey, we're not getting it done, but their voice just seems dejected. So I don't know, do you feel like they're just saying words to get the words out there to keep support, or do you actually think they believe those words that they're coming out of their mouth?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that they have to. It's hard to be inside their heads, but I think they're just like anybody else. You try to tell yourself that everything's okay, and you know, we're going to be better next week. We're going to put in the work this week and have a better performance, and you know, you just try your hardest. So I feel like right now they believe it, but you know, the field is telling a different story, right? So they can try all they want, but right now it's about performance on the field, and they just don't have it right now. So that's the way it goes.
Sure.
Yeah.
How's the overall atmosphere then? Because Jay seems like to have a ton of fire. I love Jay Sawbell as a person as a coach. I feel like he shouldn't have more fire than the players. Is there a fire around, or is everybody just going through motions at this point?
You know, it's hard to say because I only see them on Monday. I don't get to watch practice, so I'm not seeing the day-to-day, you know, in and outs of getting on the field, getting off the field, you know, what that's like. But seeing them on Monday and seeing the select few players that we get to talk to, it seems like they're upbeat. You know, definitely Evan Sabota, you know, we talk to him once a week, it seems like, and that kid is just nothing but positive. So I got to commend him. You know, he's had a pretty rough beginning, but that guy has a lot of confidence in himself. He has a very upbeat personality. The guy doesn't get down. So he's definitely a guy that's more than just surface emotion. I think he's positive, but you can see maybe it starting to wear on a few guys. You know, Shea Suyanoa was definitely a little bit disappointed after Saturday's game. You know, hard not to be, you know, take another loss and have a team like North Texas go up and down the field on you to the tune of 530 plus yards. You know, I mean, there was a lot of free runners, a lot of space in that game. And as a defender, I'd be pretty disappointed with that performance. So, but I think overall, come Monday, almost everybody is looking at a new week and what that can bring, you know, so I think they're pretty positive.
Sure. And so on that related note, I know it was a highlight on Monday during the press conference, and I can't remember, it might have been a post game, but the amassed media asked him about energy. And I guess his answer to that question is, well, we got to start making plays to have energy. And you're new, so it's good to have your opinion as someone who's just getting eyes on this program for the first time. But for like Shea and I watching, especially during the bowl years, even when we weren't winning a lot of games, that defense especially had a lot of energy, and they were tackling and they were flying around the ball. And it seems that energy is missing.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like Coach Salvell said, it's like anything else. You create your own energy by making plays. And, you can ask them to be enthusiastic out there and be raw and let's go. But it's hard to keep that up when, there's a blown assignment and the quarterback rips off a 20-yard run, or you give up a crossing route where the guy's left uncovered and he goes for 30. We've all seen the breakdowns in coverage and just tackling, in open space. When you continually get beat, it's hard to just go back to the sideline and be all enthusiastic and excited about this football game when you're getting beat.
Sure. Then also a question that I've had, and I don't know if you guys have asked it. I've tried to listen as much as I can to all the press conferences, but in terms of the struggles that Evan Svoboda is having, especially with accuracy, is that something that the coaches saw in practice, or is this in practice he looks good and then it comes to game time and he's just not quite as sharp?
Yeah, I tried to put that out there too. So I talked to the coordinator, Jay Johnson, and he said that he's seen the overthrows a little bit in practice as well.
Okay.
That it's not just a game thing. It's not just being a little bit too, high on adrenaline in the game. He says that it does pop up in practice. But the way that Jay Johnson's another positive guy. I mean, he's got to be as the offensive coordinator for this team. He's very upbeat about Svoboda's progress. And so I think, he's saying that there's improvement week to week. So, I've seen it too. His completion percentage has gone up, albeit minusculely, but it is ticking up from the low 40s to the mid 40s, which, you'd like to see it get up over 50 to 60%. I think he just needs more throws. If you can keep the ball on offense a little longer, sustain drives, maybe he gets a few more checkdowns and you get to see him get more in the flow of the game.
Yeah, no, I thought in the first half against North Texas was the most comfortable he looked all season, and it helped to have, obviously, John Michael Gillenborg back off of injury was a huge help.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's a huge component, and he's kind of missed a security blanket, all these receivers that they have are all new weapons that are finally earning their shot, and Svoboda just hadn't built a lot of chemistry with them in the past. So Gillenborg being a guy that, he roomed with for 2 years, he's trained with over the course of the last previous off seasons, that could be a security blanket for him. And so to have him back, that's huge, I think, for Evan. And when I asked him on Monday, actually, how big it was to have Evan or to have John Michael back, working more in the offense, his face just lit up right away. I mean, he's really excited to have John Michael back. And so hopefully for the Wyoming Cowboys' sake, for his sake, having John Michael play, 60 snaps coming up the last, this week, next week, the next game, San Diego State week and beyond, that'll be huge for him and his confidence.
Sure. And another thing that would really help Svoboda is something that Wyoming's really leaned hard against through the years, but just this year it's not happening, is the running game. They're not getting hardly any production out of there. And you guys have asked him, hey, what is it? Is it the running backs? Is it the offensive line? I think people are pretty disappointed because this offensive line returns 4 or 5 starters. And I know you guys asked him on Monday, and his answer was like, well, we lost one starter, but that guy's playing on Sunday now. And was kind of his answer that we lost a big component of the line, and they're still trying to figure out how to replace him. What's your view on the O-line and the running game?
Well, they certainly have some issues at tackle with, the two redshirt freshmen getting their chance. And then, center Fia is just struggling with the snaps. That's been a huge problem with sustaining drives. It's popped up at the, some bad moments too. But I would say that it is more on the running backs and even I mean, you see these guys, there's some lanes there at times, not every single play, but, they do have opportunity to crack some big runs. DJ Jones, I think he got a carry there against BYU where it was like right in the goal line within, right after Rook Brown's interception, and they're down at the 2-yard line. I remember he broke through the line and then he gets tackled by the shoestring. That could have gone for a touchdown if he's a little stronger through the hole, So, but there's also times where Sabota, not to just pick him out because he's not the only guy that's missed the hole, but against North Texas, I thought he ran right into a defender instead of cutting it inside and picking up another 15 yards or so. So I agree with Salvell that you've had opportunities and you've had some guys kind of doing a little dancing on the outside when you could just cut it up and, be decisive, go north to south. That might help a little bit more with the yards per attempt. They're down around, I think, 2.8 yards per attempt right now as a team, which is obviously very awful. So, yeah, you got to be a little bit more decisive when you're getting that carry, going through the line and going to the second level. Just take a lane and take it north.
Sure. And then another topic.
Sam Scott start because Sam never missed a hole at North Texas, and he gets yards no matter what.
Yeah, it looks like Sam Scott's going to get more involved in the offense. Coach was definitely enthusiastic about his play against North Texas. He looked good both receiving and running the football, so he should get more opportunities. I'd like to see DJ continue to get opportunities. He's got good speed, but he's got to be a little bit more decisive going through the hole. And what a shame about DeWine. I mean, I thought DeWine, I haven't seen him in practice. Word on the street was that he was looking good in practice. And then he gets one carry against Idaho and one carry against BYU, and each time he gets hurt. It's such a shame.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And he's really talented. When before his injury, he was the real deal for the Cowboys.
He was going north to south. So that's a guy that was running with some smarts, good vision, and he's got quickness. So that's a big loss for them for sure.
Yeah. Let's see here. All right. Well, as we wrap up, a few more questions for you. I guess on the field stuff has been all the rage, but how about the insanity that's taking place off the field? I guess, what are you hearing about this whole conference realignment and the battle between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West?
Yeah, I'm not really hearing anything that hasn't been reported just because I'm new here and I don't really have a line to the AD, Tom Berman, or to Navarez at all. But it's a shame. I'm probably just like any other fan where you want to see the traditions upheld. I'm 38 years old, and I've followed college football since I was 5 with the Huskies in Seattle area, which is where I'm from. Mm-hmm. And you are loyal to those traditions, to playing the Apple Cup against Washington State or Oregon or USC. Some of these games that spark some memories in your mind, right, of going to those events and seeing some battles in the past. So, as a fan, you want to see that continue. I really don't understand what these colleges are after. I mean, sure, you might get a few more $1 million per year, but what does that bring you in the end? So, I don't know if it's going to really improve their standing as an institution, over the course of the country or in the world as to being a more prestigious institution. I mean, is that what they're after? I think that would be what I would be after, getting a larger draw of the world's brightest minds coming to your institution to improve kind of your standing in the country. But anyway, it is what it is, and everybody else is worse off for it, I think.
Sure. And then I guess what is kind of your idea where this might end? Like, I think everybody and their dog knows that a merger seems like the most obvious thing in the world, but it seems like the Pac-2 schools are really kind of controlling. They don't want to go down that route at all.
Yeah, I can see it from their viewpoint, where why would we want to become a 14 school conference when we can sit at 8, 9, 10, not divide the pie up as much and keep our brand, which, we want that Pac-12, Pac-10 brand, which is far more appealing than the Mountain West brand. And I don't know, how they would have decided which name to keep, which brand to keep, but clearly the Pac-12, Pac-10, they want to stay with the Pac, and I guess it makes sense to them, and makes sense if you look at how many shares of the pie that they would have had to divide, and now they can keep it to more 9 or 10.
Sure, yeah, that I could see that point of view for sure. It is the branding that they want to keep alive, and so they think that's going to bring in the TV dollars. So we'll see if they're right. All right, Shea's got a couple non-football questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're coming up on crossover season officially today. So, Wyoming fans, you talk about being like 38, because that's where I'm at. I remember the 80s and 90s were with Wyoming football being good and basketball being good. So, we haven't had a good string of men's basketball hires here recently, and men's basketball has struggled. How are you going to handle the crossover season if one team's struggling, and then we have a huge unknown with Sundance and what he's brought in, because he didn't have a lot of time to recruit?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Good question. We'll see. I'm going to the media days in about a month, so that'll be a good opportunity to get to know the team a little bit better and start to do both a lot more. I think it'll just depend on how things are going with the programs and where the news is at. If something major happens with the football team, football, I think, is always gonna be the priority, but I think, talking with my editor, that we do want to cover the basketball teams quite a bit, both women's and men's. So we'll be doing as much as we can with the one man. I'm just one man, but I'm willing to work every day. That's kind of my attitude. So we'll just play it by ear.
Yeah, I'm a huge Wyoming wrestling fan, so I hope we cover a few duels here and there, home duels, while your breaks between.
Okay, well, I'll take it under advisement, and we'll talk. We'll talk it over with our editor, and we'll see if we can fit it in.
Perfect. Thank you.
Very diplomatic. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony. I guess for everybody out there, where can they find your work, your excellent work, writing every day about the Cowboys?
Yep. Trib.com. So that's pretty simple. TRIB.com is our newspaper website. And I'm also on Twitter at Anthony Dion 03. So you can find me there. And that's about it right now. But maybe I'll have more appearances on here, and they can find me on YouTube as well.
Yeah, no, most definitely. If you're willing to come back, we'll have you back on periodically as we went through. And as Shea said, things are going to really pick up with both basketball teams and wrestling and football going. So it's going to be an entertaining fall and winter for sure.
Yeah, fall and winter, it's going to be busy. So yeah, no, I'll whenever you guys want me.
Sounds good, man. Well, thank you so much, and we will catch you later.
Well, yeah, thank you very much too.
All right. All right, Shea. And there we go. There he goes. So that was good. We wanted to get him on. I think it's as he becomes more familiar with things, I think it's going to be interesting what he has to say, just because I'll use the term outsider, but in a good way, right? He's getting a fresh set of eyes on all this.
I like it. You know, he'll obviously get his own connections inside the university like other media members have, and it will be good, and he'll have a different perspective. I will say he's the only guy that's always posting videos in the media.
Yeah,
so I encourage everybody to watch his Twitter, because if there's a media before game, he is posting videos about everything. And he really took over for what Thorburn was doing for the Trib, because Ryan was the same way. And, you know, Ryan's doing good work for the university. It's just, I like the private media because they're a little bit more, you'd be a little bit more open. And I saw Rashawn say, "What's good, everyone?" I wanted to give a shout out because his son JY was noted last week on the PFF scores, his defensive lineman, of like a grade of 70.2, which was 5th best in the Super West Twitter. So like the West team. So
nice.
Rashawn, if you're still on, tell JY congrats. I saw him on I forget the account, but like Super West Twitter, and they talked about all the teams out west, and your son was mentioned with a good PFF grade. So
nice. Yeah, I didn't see that, but yeah, I mean, keeping up with the news on Twitter this week is pretty much impossible. So
yeah, I'm just like refreshing to see what lawsuit's coming out next.
All right, let's hit the share button here really quick. Let's get a screen up here. We'll talk a little about this matchup that we will be seeing this weekend between the Air Force and Wyoming. Is this the screen I wanted? I don't think it is. I think this is the back end. But this is right. So right now, I think the line opened at 3.5. Looks like it moved to 4.5. It's creeping. And then yet again, the Odd Shark computer has picked Wyoming to win every game. So I don't know what they're doing. This time they have it, I don't know, basically a tie.
Yeah, a wash.
So
hey, Air Force's QBR is worse than Wyoming's. So
true. But they also are an option team. So here we go. Here's the number. Yeah. 34 over under. Oh, wow. I didn't see that.
That's a high scoring game for two teams that can't get up and down the field.
Pretty interesting. And then, yeah, Wyoming's at -4. Some books have it -3.5. So shop around. Points scored, not pretty. Oh, I didn't know Air Force is averaging 10 a game. We're averaging 11 a game.
And that they put up 20 on Merrimack. Don't forget, that's really skewed for them because they couldn't even score points on Merrimack.
Merrimack, yeah. Well, we scored 17 on Idaho. Was it 17?
13. But at least 13. They're number 1 in the FCS.
But that's the best defense we faced all year.
Yeah.
They're not throwing the ball very well, obviously. Even running for them is like, right. I mean, 167 is really bad for the Air Force.
Yeah.
They should be well above 200 when they're good.
This is going to be the 1999 game all over again.
This might be pretty interesting. But I am actually we'll get rid of that. I'm pretty concerned because Wyoming is just beat up on defense. Looks like they very well may be without their top 2 or both starting safeties could be out.
They are.
Yep. And then Andrew Johnson has got a broken thumb and he's going to try to play. We'll see. They said Wyatt Eckler was going to play. But then they announced that I don't even know how he broke both his thumbs in the same game. How do you do that?
Somebody said that it was too many arm tackles. Like they're not finishing their tackles, so they're putting their arms out in bad situations.
Oh, maybe, and then their thumbs are getting twisted. Yeah,
Yeah.
could be. But that's a good leeway because that's my concern. Wyoming's not tackling very well at all, and it's a bad time to be facing Air Force when you're not in a good tackling form.
Well, I mean, if Rashawn's watching and hasn't watched Air Force in a while, it's going to be up to those bubbas in the middle. That's how you
Right.
shut down Air Force. If your defensive tackles are
Yep.
crushing them in the center, then you take away the option. And I think maybe what helps this game is Rook is healthy, so he's back there at safety.
Yes, and he's going to start at one of the safety spots. So he's moved from nickel to the safety spot.
And then Wyoming will probably be more of a 4-3, so we'll see probably more Eller and DeMarzo.
Sure. Yep.
Because that's what they did last year, and it was fine. Again, they just couldn't make tackles, and they were taking terrible angles against Air Force. So if they can stay home and your defensive tackles, like Jordan Berginelli, this is not going to be new to him, or Florentine, but these freshmen, it's going to be new too.
Yeah.
To just stay home, And it's very unfortunate because the defensive line was supposed to be good, but Tice Westland's the only one that seems to be, from the edge perspective, that's like always in on a play.
Sure. Yeah. And so I've got the injury report from Monday here. So a lot of guys are going to be out on defense. We got Eckler's going to be out. He might be back after the bye. Let's see. Harris is still out. Johnson.
Harris after the bye. Sorry, Harris should be back after the bye too.
Okay, that's new news then. Good. White was doubtful on Monday. You're saying that he's out now? Is what you're hearing?
I think it's a mix. He has a foot injury.
Okay.
So.
And then I thought there was one more on defense. I guess that's all. It's just your two starting safeties is just bad. And then how good will Johnson be when if he's got a broken thumb, he's going to have a club, right? So how well can he tackle with one hand?
I don't know if he may not play with the club, but Shea played with the club, and I would take Shea playing with the club right now. Then
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I know Salvell did say that Johnson will be getting surgery during the bye week to fix the thumb, but he's going to play through it this week.
Yeah, I can't. A thumb, they might just be able to brace it.
Yeah, so there'll be something to monitor.
Yeah.
But Wyoming's pretty beat up on defense. And like you said, the key, as we all know, to stopping the triple option is you got to stop the run up the middle first and force them outside. So it'll be a big day for the defensive line to dominate like we've done in the past. I mean, Wyoming has done really well against Air Force for the most part for under Bowl, right? And under Salvell too. Salvell was the DC in some of these good performances. So we'll have to see how things go there. But just, I don't know. The Air Force offense isn't very good. So I don't know. This game it's winnable for Wyoming. It should be, right? I mean, but I don't know. I just don't like the matchup right now with the way.
Yes, Siders may be out on defense too.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. I had it written down, I thought. Hold on.
Yeah, but it depends, I guess, if I mean, it's gonna be all for naught because Air Force's defense should be good, but it's playing like Wyoming's defense should be good, and they're not performing very well.
Yeah.
Anthony brought up a great point. Jamari Farrell and DJ Jones run straight to the sideline every time. If they would cut up and take the yards that are just there, I think Wyoming's offense would be a little bit better. And that's what we saw when Sam Scott was on the field. Yes. The guy will get you 4, 5, 6 yards.
Downhill running.
Good enough. Hey, move on. We're ahead of the sticks now instead of 2-yard gains because you're trying to break it every single time.
Yeah, I'm looking at my list. I don't know why I don't have Siders written down, but yeah, Siders is probably out too. So that's a defensive end that you're going to be missing, who's obviously key to what Wyoming does.
Yeah, who knows? If the drives aren't sustained from Air Force, then your defense could probably do okay. But if they start getting on some of those Air Force drives, we're probably going to see some freshmen come in on the defensive line on the edge positions. So,
yeah, nope. And I think Salvell mentioned that he's going to have to play some of these younger guys who have never seen the triple option before. So, again, it's a big coaching week to show that, right? That you, as the head coach, I mean, he did it as a defensive coordinator, so he's just got to kind of channel that and help his guys out.
Yeah, and Wyoming's deep at linebacker. Maybe move to a 3-4 low. The 3-4 is devastating against the triple option sometimes. So
Sure,
yeah.
if your guy in the middle can hold up.
Yeah, so I think there's options there. I thought Aaron Bull called a pretty decent game against North Texas, but you can't be there to make the guys tackle. Like his blitz packages looked good on some of those things, and I don't know what's going on the field, and that's why I wish the team captains would step
Yeah,
up. If
no.
you're going to be a team captain, you shouldn't be the liability on the field.
Savell talked about it a little, and he was just going about just guys just not being in the right spot, and that's what he's attributing some of these big plays to. Is just guys know where they need to be, they're just not getting there, and they're just not thinking, and they're just making mental mistakes.
Like I know people are harping on Jay Johnson, but the wide receivers are running open.
No, yeah, and I was going to mention this with Anthony, but I don't have any problem with the scheme. The
No,
scheme is not the problem. The only thing that I have a little bit of a problem with, but everybody's doing it. So again, it makes no sense to me. But when it's like 3rd and short or 4th and short, why the hell are you running the ball out of shotgun? Because it limits you. You pretty much you're telling the defense which side of the field you're running to pretty much every time. But if you get under center, then you can go left or right. And so I don't understand why we're not under center more in 3rd and 4th and short. But again, everybody's running the ball now 4th and inches out of shotgun, which makes no sense.
but to his point, that run he was talking about with BYU was under center.
Oh,
with
yeah.
DJ. So it is right. Just get up under center. If you're worried about footwork from Evan, but it's 3rd and short, and you can run it, just run it. Smash it down somebody's throat. I mean,
Yeah.
but I guess that goes back to the offensive line isn't playing to their capability, and they're not playing
They're
with
struggling.
any violence. So
Yeah. So
they're never
and
limited to the
Savell,
box.
they asked him, the media is asking tough questions, but Savell was like, they're like, well, how is the offensive line so bad when you return 4 out of 5? And he basically lumped it all on, well, we lost Frank Crum. He's playing on Sundays, and we've got 2 redshirt freshmen. But I would have followed up, well, how does that impact the other 4 guys? They forgot how to play just because Frank Crum's not there? It doesn't add up to me.
I mean, Jack Walsh is playing. He's playing very well, I think.
He's playing the best of our offensive line for sure.
But Caden Barnett should not be your liability.
Yeah, Barnett's having problems.
And Fia practicing bowling back on snaps.
Yeah, the center snaps, as Anthony mentioned it. I was going to ask him about that, but he mentioned it himself. So, yeah, thank you for joining us, TJ. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. So, yeah, it was good to have Anthony on. So, I hope you caught that. If you didn't, if you're just tuning in now, you'll have to catch out the replay. We had Anthony Dion from the Casper Tribune on, giving his insights as the new beat writer there up in Casper.
Yeah, so he's going to see what this rivalry is all about from a Wyoming standpoint, because we probably should have brought up Howdy Doody to him to.
Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, I was going to. There's just so much to talk about.
Yeah,
but I told them we'd only keep them for about 20 minutes, and we did that. So, but yeah. So I guess some of the big news today was, I guess Troy Calhoun didn't call this a rivalry game, which is right. I mean, I don't care what he says. I mean, if it's not a rivalry game, then why was he pulling the crap that he did, right, to get called Howdy Doody? I mean, it's not a rivalry game, but you're going to onside kick when you're up, whatever. They were up like 30 points or whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, so come on. Make up your mind, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, hopefully the players show more passion than the coaches have. The coaches shouldn't be the most passionate on the sideline. Some players need to step up, and if it's not going to be your leaders, your team captains, then some young guys need to step up and fire up the team.
Mm-hmm. And then so kickoff is 6 p.m. in Laramie, and the game is on CBS Sports. So
I wonder who's on the call. I wonder who's in town for it, because CBS usually has some pretty good announcers.
I forgot. I saw it. I want to say it's Waltz.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I could double check if you want me to, but I think we're good.
Yeah.
It is who it is. But I'm pretty sure I saw that it was Waltz, who has called a lot of games in Laramie over the years. So, and I didn't know that he's actually like a baseball guy.
Oh, really?
He like calls games for, I think, the Marlins. on TV.
Just wants a little vacation when the weather's still nice in Wyoming, so we don't have to.
Yeah.
He's not going to Ziegler. He's not going to Ziegler us.
No. So yeah, so let's wrap up the show with that. But we will say basketball practice did start. I know they just tweeted something out, so we'll read that. Sundance did a nice interview with Keith Kelly, the voice of the Cowboys. You can head over to their site, I think kfbcradio.com, and find that in their archives. Some good information there. The biggest thing, which Shea you didn't mention last week, the biggest thing that jumped out to me when I listened to the interview is they're going to do a documentary series so that people of Wyoming can get to know all these new players. And I guess it's going to be an online thing, and it's going to be called Inside Wyoming Basketball, something like that. And so we'll see how many episodes they have and such, but I think it's a pretty good idea to do that, to put stuff like that out, because it helps your fans and it helps recruiting. And so if you have the means to do it and you can do it well, I think it's a great idea.
Yep. I'm excited for it.
Drew's in the house. Yeah, I know. We've asked this question, right? How does a team, we're returning 16 of 22 starters. And so they asked Savell that again, and he's just saying, I don't know. He's blaming the 6 starters we had to replace, don't know what they're doing. And so that's kind of his answer. That's me kind of taking my viewpoint of it. He was very interesting this week. He was like, well, we're not going to make excuses, but, and then he laid it out about how, well, we've missed 6 starters and one of them is in the NFL and blah, 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 blah. So I agree. It's coaching, because I don't know how you go from a 9-win team to 0-4.
It's the same voices too, which is so frustrating. Nothing's changed besides Jason Petrino.
I guess 3 coaches are new, right? Well, I mean, no, I guess it is 2 new coaches when you think about it. So Bold left. He got replaced by Savell. The only 2 new coaches that came on staff were Johnson on the offensive side and then Petrino on the defensive side. Otherwise, it's the same voices.
Phelps, defensive line, but
Phelps is new too. Oh, you're right. Yeah. So 3. That's why I said 3 the first time. I should have stuck with it. I knew that was right. And Phelps, but Phelps has loads of experience in this system.
Yeah.
Playing at different schools. So yeah. It's all good. No, man.
Yeah.
He says he was late. Yeah.
It's all right, Drew. You can watch the replay.
Yeah.
As well as get caught up.
Okay. So, and we talked about this a little bit, so I guess we'll wrap up the show tonight with a little conference realignment talk. I mean, how about the whirlwind on Monday where it looked like the Mountain West was going to pull off keeping 8 teams together, and it was like ready to happen. And then at the last minute, Utah State pulls out. So if you haven't heard the news, this is what happened. The Mountain West got everybody to sign agreements that they would stick together if all 8 schools signed. So everybody signed except for Utah State. And then at that point, UNLV pulled out because they said, well, it needed all 8 schools had to sign. Everybody signed the document but Utah State, and then it blew it all up. And so now Utah State has joined the Pac-12, and now UNLV is sitting on the fence. And that's kind of where we're standing.
But Utah State has to pay their own exit fee. And
that's
UNLV is $20 million in debt.
It's being reported that Utah State is willing to pay their own exit fee, and that's why the Pac-12 took them. Again, I don't know if that's true, but that's what people are saying.
Trying to get away from that Title IX lawsuit. They're trying to,
and they have that, which I think you tweeted someone saying, "Hey, Pac-12 bylaws say that they can't accept schools who are under investigation," which Utah State is. So, again, I guess you can make your own rules, though, right?
I don't think that war chest is very deep. I think that's what's happening. I think the Pac overplayed their hand.
Maybe, and so now the Pac they're suing the Mountain West, saying that you made us under duress, sign a contract. Because if it wasn't for the Mountain West, they wouldn't be playing football this season. Because I don't know, can you even schedule? Like, what's the minimum amount of games you have to be able to schedule to be a football team? Is there a rule?
Right. Well, they would have had to go after they would have had to buy out teams that were playing FCS schools, like buy out New Mexico states and stuff like that.
Okay, so it would cost them a lot of money.
It would have cost a lot of money, but it doesn't matter because Wazoo is $34 million in debt, like
they
every
are
year. So
yeah,
I don't.
Washington State's in like deep debt. I know.
I really think the $30 million. I think what people are missing is there's a money. Gloria's like, no, because CBS and Fox owns Mountain West and now TNT. They don't have any rights in the CW, the stuff that Oregon State. So it's like free money to Oregon State and Wazoo to play these teams. And then what's Mountain West get from it? Because the CW is not a linear.
We got $14 million. So for this season, the Mountain West is receiving $14 million from Oregon State and Washington State to fill their schedule, basically.
Yeah, but it's on CW.
I know, but I think we're not getting any amount of that. But they're paying us $14 million, which is, I forgot what they're getting on their end for their deal.
Yeah, I don't.
Drew says UNLV is also in debt.
$20 million.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. It's funny how it's just like real life, right? It's the people who have no money are the ones chasing the money because they don't have good money sense. So they're gullible, right? And you know that. We all know someone who's like, oh yeah, you know, these get rich quick schemes. I think that's how some of these schools are viewing.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. And Drew says they're not capable of paying the 27 after firing their coach. Yeah, no. So again, where's this money coming from?
Yeah, they don't have an endowment. Like Wyoming probably could do this.
They could, but they wouldn't.
No, that'd be financial suicide. Especially Boise, if they only get $10 million, is going to lose money on this TV contract.
They are, yeah. I don't see how they're going to. Everybody who I've seen who knows about this business says there's no way they're going to get the money that they think they're going to get in the open market.
Everybody forgets Hawaii doesn't get this money. Hawaii doesn't get Mountain West money. So
yeah, it's insane. But they have egos, right? It's these two, Wazoo and Oregon State. Their presidents have egos. They think the Pac-12 is great. They want to keep the brand going, so they're literally doing everything they can to keep it going. And I don't know. I have no idea how this is going to end. I thought that we would get to a merger, and maybe we will, but it's going to take a lot longer because I think now the animosity between these schools is just so high now.
Mountain West is going to bleed them now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they might bleed us. I don't know, right? I could see it happening both ways. We'll see. It's good. The courts will decide a lot of this in terms of how quickly they deal with these actions. But I think, and the Mountain West could paper the Pac-12 to death, but they're going to paper us back. So it's just going to be never-ending lawyering. As my favorite tweet of the week, I don't know who wrote it, but somebody, billable hours are undefeated. That's where we're at. Billable hours, folks. We should be just merge and call it the Billable Hours Conference.
I don't. I think we just have to wait to see how this lawsuit goes, but
yeah. But everybody with a legal mind says that it's going to get tossed out because it's ridiculous. So
yeah, I think they played their hand that now they're broke.
Yeah. So who knows? But we'll see. As I said, I don't think it's gonna. It was going at warp speed, and now I think it's going to slow down. And I think we'll probably get to the point, probably near the very end of the deadline. So I'm talking probably late 25 is when all this will be patched up, and you'll probably see some type of merger. Again, I guess the argument in the national reporting is they want to drop like Anthony said, he didn't say that, but the dead weight. And I haven't seen any article that labeled Wyoming as dead weight. So that's good. They were mainly talking about San Jose State and Hawaii. And I thought there was a third school someone mentioned in an article.
Probably Nevada.
And Nevada, that's it. So those are the 3 schools they're trying to ditch. But I don't know. I've heard that a lot of things. I think Nevada is trying to be vocal to get recruited, for obvious reasons.
CSU fans, this is the funniest thing I've seen. CSU fans were pissed Utah State was invited and not Wyoming.
Yeah.
They're
I
not
know.
stupid.
Sure.
We need Wyoming. Yeah.
No. And it is a shame because if it comes to the point where we are in separate conferences, I mean, we could play every year, and I wouldn't be too sure that we would. Like, they can say that we'll play you, but I think they're pretty arrogant. At least their leadership is. They think they're better than us. They have the same type of thing with CU, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know if they're not going to be willing to put CU and Wyoming on their schedule every year. Well, they might be, but here's the other thing I'll say is I don't think they'll ever agree to play us in Laramie every other year. They're going to say,
No.
we're in the Pac-12. You should come to us like 3 out of 4 times.
Yep.
And we shouldn't accept that. I'd be, nope. Unless you're willing to come 1-1, I don't care. Let it go. They did it. We didn't do it. They did it. So we'll see.
Yeah, you know what made me upset? People were talking about how the Mountain West did this to WAC back in the day. The reason they did it to the WAC is because they were losing rivalries.
Yes.
The Mountain West was created because they wanted to retain the rivalries, and the WAC wasn't letting them do it.
Correct. Yeah, no, I remember that first year in the WAC. I mean, we were playing teams like, I know we played like Tulsa and like SMU, and it's like, we don't care about these schools.
Yeah.
Who else did we
It was
play?
BYU, CSU, and Air Force every year. That's all we asked for, and the WAC wouldn't budge on it.
They wouldn't give us. Yeah, they tried to do that quadrant, right? I think Wyoming proposed like these quadrants, and maybe did they do it for a year and then they left it?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
That's why the Mountain West was born in a bar at DIA.
Exactly, but that's how the Mountain West was born, because we wanted to play our rivals, and now all these schools are leaving.
Yeah, so.
Well, they've all left, I guess, except for CSU, which is. Drew says that's true about CSU. Yes, it is. And I saw this from one of the old timers on our board. He says that Wyoming was the only voice and the key voice that got Colorado State accepted into the WAC in the 60s. And he said, look what they're doing now. It's like, if it wasn't for us, they would have been marooned way back then and they'd be nobody. So
yeah, I guess we have to see what's happening behind the scenes, because I know Boise hates us. I don't know if Boise hates us enough to keep us out. San Diego State does, obviously, because they think they're better than everybody. But
yeah,
I think CSU and Fresno would probably be like, hey, we got to have, like, Wyoming's a national brand. So.
Yeah, I know. And people who say, right, this is my argument. We're a small market, I understand. But again, when you looked at viewing numbers, we have better numbers than San Diego State. We have better numbers than CSU. So to say, again, these people are talking about, like you said, markets. Well, they think, well, CSU brings the Denver market. No, it doesn't. Nobody cares. Denver is a pro football town.
Yep.
You don't hear talk of college football, only you do now down here because of Dion. But once he leaves in a year or two, you won't hear talk about college football. College football is not supported here. Because it's a Broncos town. It's a pro football town. So, but Wyoming, again, right? If we are such a small market and such a small brand, then why do we get all these national TV primetime games?
Yeah.
So, yes, I know. Yeah, they think so. That's their delusion, Drew, is that they think they're a power conference. So how a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you saw, and I think this is the best analogy, but I used the wrong cola. I thought Pib was like a generic Dr. Pepper, but it's a generic cherry soda. So I think you have to go to like Dr. Thunder, I think is like the Walmart brand. So it would be like if for whatever reason Dr. Pepper went out of business. So what the Pac-12 is doing now is they are Dr. Thunder, But now they're just going to slap a Dr. Pepper label on their Dr. Thunder and tell you that drink this, it's Dr. Pepper. And people are going to taste it and be like, well, no, that's not Dr. Pepper. This tastes off. This is Dr. Thunder. It's not quite right. No. We're the Pac-12, right? So they're calling it the Pac-12, but it's not the Pac-12. So they'll never be a power conference. They tried their move.
It doesn't matter. If you're not the SEC or Big Ten, it's not going to matter when they get their power too.
End.
Yeah.
Because
and the ACC is going to blow up also.
Everything is spiraling out of control with NIL and TV. And I think you're right. At some point in time, once all the legislation passes, and it's going to probably within the next 12 months, is they're going to give the SEC and the Big Ten, it's going to be direct pay for play. Players are going to get paid directly from the athletics, and all this NIL is going to go out the window. And every of those schools, the legislation's already there. It just needs to be approved. The Power 5 schools or the Power 4 schools are budgeting $20 million a year to pay athletes. That's the starting point, $20 million. Think about that. And it's just going to be, basically, it's going to be minor league sports. So that's what's going to happen. And I think, as you said, it'll be, and the Big Ten and the SEC are going to, they'll go higher than that. Like, it's going to be insane. It's going to be basically semi-pro ball at some point.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. But yeah, for the two Pac-12 schools to think that they're going to rebuild and become a power conference is laughable. And I would say that if Wyoming was invited, I'd be like, great, we're invited. I think it would be good for Wyoming to be invited, but to have these delusions like it's like a big deal. No, I mean, again, you're slapping on a Pac-12 label, or you're slapping on a Dr. 12, good Lord, speak English. You're slapping on a Dr. Pepper label onto a bottle of Dr. Thunder.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Meat Hook is right too. Perhaps, right? I mean, sure, like Northwestern, Vanderbilt, your academic schools, they probably won't last long in those big conferences unless they really fight for it. I don't know. You're right, I think.
I mean, Northwestern's playing in a soccer stadium on the shores of Lake Michigan right now. So,
yes. Yeah.
That's
So
right,
wild times in college athletics. That's for sure. Wild times. So that's all I had, Shea. Anything else you want to get out there?
Glad to be back on, and I guess we'll see what happens Saturday if I'm raging in my household and waking up my kids, or happy waking up my kids, so.
All right. Yeah, well, I'll be here for a post game, win or lose, after Air Force. Mr. Brad is not with us this week because he's on assignment. He's going to South Bend, Indiana, to take in a game, Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame versus Louisville.
That'll be good.
Yeah, which should be a pretty good game. So that's where Brad is. So when he comes back, he'll have stories of visiting the Golden Domers. And
hopefully he meets Rudy.
Maybe. Yeah, I bet they do have like a Rudy tour.
Oh, guaranteed.
Actually, probably not, because the real live Rudy is kind of he'd probably want money off of it.
Oh yeah, I've heard that about him.
Yeah. Thank you. I like the analogy too, but that's okay. We can let them believe that they're Dr. Pepper. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And special thanks to Anthony Dion from the Casper Tribune. We'll be sure to have him on again soon. And I will be back Sunday night. Maybe with Shea. We'll see how he's doing East Coast time with a post-game show. So
these late night games kill me.
Yeah. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all real soon.